I think I look pretty good for a dead guy.
You look great. And I think our people tuning in right now are saying, okay, what do you mean a dead guy? What happened?
Yeah.
So you did start taking this medication, which
Yes.
was it was actually
Yep.
like a clinical trial type medication,
Yep.
because I have researched your story many times.
Yeah.
It's so astounding. Now, they didn't realize the dangers of that medication. And one day, because it got rid of your pain, you took more than you were supposed to.
Yes, I did.
Tell us a little bit about what happened that day when you took more. You were sitting in a truck on some land that you owned.
Yes.
Tell us about what happened.
And it was late in the afternoon, Laura, and I didn't go on the main roads. I went on the back roads because I was on medication, and got up to this field and drove into it. It was quite a large section of land, and I parked the truck facing the setting sun, and I didn't plan it that way. It just happened, and I'm sitting there trying to get rid of the pain to get out and walk around this large property. And I'm sitting there just waiting to gather up the strength to do that. And then I realized, hey, I've got some more medication here. So I'll just take one more, the slippery slope of prescription medication. And I took more than one. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
It wasn't to create my death.
No.
I was just trying to
Get rid of the pain.
perform a function.
Yeah.
And so I sat there waiting for that warm relief that I had become used to. And then the most incredible thing happened. Instead of this relief, my feet felt they were on fire, intense heat. So much so I looked underneath the dash of the truck and to see what was causing this. And then it started to rapidly come up my legs, and then my fingertips started to burn. And it was like my body was catching on fire, and it was all moving toward my chest. And then all the possible scenarios the doctors had told me about, that my lungs would seize, and there'd be minutes before you would die, and only minutes. And so I realized that something catastrophic had happened. I had taken, my body had finally reacted against the medication I was taking, and my lungs were seizing. And it was the strangest sensation. I mean, I was terrified. I talk of it logically now, but and I kept raising my head to expand my lungs, and it was like I was in a pool of water and couldn't get oxygen. And in that moment, of realization that I'm dying, I remember this so clearly. In that moment, from somewhere deep inside of me that I had not been for a long, long time, there was this feeling. It wasn't that I was scared. I'd been in a number of close calls as a pilot, never flinched. But I had this overwhelming desire to thank the Creator for the wonderful life I had had. And here I am in the last few minutes, last seconds of my life, trying to put together something that would, and all I could get out was I raised my hand to the setting sun, and death was approaching, and my hand was trembling. And I looked up at that setting sun, and I believe there's 6 words that allow me to be here with you today. The first 3 were, as I raised my hand to the setting sun, it was, God, forgive me. Forgive me. And I fell forward, hit my head on the steering wheel. And I'm gone.
What did you see next?
I'm not sure just how long I was out at that time, but I remember sitting back up, and the first realization was, I have no pain. The pain is gone. I slide out of the truck. I walk about 15 feet away. It's a beautiful spring evening. I can smell the grass, and I feel like I'm 20 years old again. I could move my arms and legs without debilitating pain. And I'm just overwhelmed. And I'm just looking out and enjoying how it felt to be healthy. And then I turn and look back at the truck. And I'm filled with rage. because some guy is sitting in my truck. Not only that, he's sleeping on the steering wheel. So I turned to go over and give him a good old Canadian welcome. And have you ever had a dream where you're trying to walk and you can't? You know, when you're a kid, you have that happen to you. And that's what happened to me. I couldn't advance for a few inches at a time. But finally, I got close enough to look at the truck and the person in it. There are no words for me to describe to you or to our audience the feeling that raced over me. Because as I'm looking at the body in the truck and getting closer, I realize that is no stranger. That body laying over the steering wheel is me. And my head is turned toward the window, and I'm gushing because my lungs have hemorrhaged. I'm gushing blood.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm Diamond Jim.
Right.
And right away I'm formulating a way to fix this. But there's no fix for this.
No.
But what I tried to do was, if I could just get over there, get in the truck, somehow get back in my body, everything will be okay.
Wow.
Not this time.
No.
Not this time.
So then what happened?
So as I'm trying to figure out and getting a little closer to the truck, suddenly I began to rise. Now, being a pilot, I'm a good judge of altitude, and I'm clearly leaving the ground without an aircraft. Not a wise thing to do. But I'm rising. And I'd like to tell you I was, brave and all that sort of thing. I was terrified. But, and I got up to about 1,200 feet, and I could look down in the back window of the truck and see my toolbox and see my body sloped over the wheel. And then I, for some reason, looked up, and this beautiful golden circle appeared in the sky, like a 60-foot wide gold wedding ring. And the center fell back inwards. And it showed what I felt was an immense distance and beautiful clouds on the inside, golden. And then my body on its own went into this 45-degree position. And here I am starting to fly without an airplane. Finally, I'm saving on fuel. And I make light of it now, but I was terrified. Yeah. And then it was as though I had advanced the throttles on one of the heavy jets that I would fly across the Atlantic. And I went slipping in over that ring, and the instant I got inside, the speed was incredible. But here's something strange. Typically, if you're going fast, you can feel the wind, you can hear the rush of the wind, not a sound. Not a sound. So I didn't have to worry about my hair.
Yeah. I like the humor you bring to this very serious story.
I'm the happiest guy you're ever going to meet, because I'll tell you something. Yeah. Having seen what waits for us is incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And I'm so grateful to be back. But anyway, do you want me to?
Oh, I do. Yes, tell us what you saw next.
Keep me under control, because I get excited.
It's pretty exciting to listen to. So you're now in the heavenly realm.
Yeah.
What do you see next?
Well,
do you only see light?
I'm in the tunnel light, and I'm speeding really fast.
Okay.
I think it was probably Mach 1, Mach 2. And it's difficult to describe someone what that's like. And I was speaking in Baltimore one night, and I was talking about how I was going so fast the stars were streaming by me. And that's not a very good description. And there was a young guy, about 18 years old, in the front row, and he said, "Sounds like the opening of Star Trek to me."
That's a good way.
Remember Star Trek?
Yeah,
Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect analogy. When they go to warp drive, and this, it's just a zap of lightning. And that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. So,
what did you see next?
So then I realized I thought it was endless, but I realized I was decelerating. We come to a stop in this golden tunnel, and my body comes upright, and I still don't know whether to call it a door or a portal, but it's covered in mist. I know I have to go forward and through it, because I look over my shoulder and the tunnel is closing behind me. And so I step through, and as you would stepping into a room that you're not familiar with, and it's covered in mist, I put my foot in to feel for the ground, and there was something solid in that mist. So I brought my other leg in, and I wait for a few seconds, and the mist begins to clear. And I look down, and I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I'm standing on the most beautiful green grass you've ever seen. Every blade had its own light. Now, I have to be careful with that, because it sounds a little Las Vegas-y. But that's what it looked like. And it's gorgeous. And if I move my feet, light ripples out from underneath my feet. And I'm just overwhelmed by the beauty of it and the sheer strangeness of it. And I now know where the saying comes from. The grass is always greener on the other side. They're talking about heaven. Yeah. So the mist rises from the ground, and then I look up and look out, and I cannot believe the vista that is before me. Keep in mind, my biblical knowledge was next to nothing. But I now know, of course, that there is no sun, nor moon, nor stars. Because as a pilot, I was trying to see what the source of light was. If I could see the sun, I could maybe orient myself. Am I northeast, northwest, you know, and which was stupid, because I'm not even in the same universe.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to work my way through this, and I'm just overwhelmed by it. And as I'm looking, the strangest thing, this beautiful vista of flowers for which there are no designation of colors. Colors we have no name for. A place where sound has color and color has sound. Think about that.
Yeah.
And flowers, and I've been in 52 countries. I've never seen flowers that were as beautiful as what I saw in heaven. And this feeling of peace, and even the rocks had this glow coming from it. All of it is the glow of God, the light of God.
And of course, there's such great light there, but you did have a moment where you saw darkness.
Oh, absolutely.
And you cried out to God. Tell us what happened there.
So I'm standing there looking at this beautiful vista, but here's the strangest thing. As I move my vision from right to left, that beautiful green grass went to brown, to scorched, to black, and dropped off in a crevasse. And I'm so taken by this strangeness of the beauty here, and almost immediately, and a feeling of death and decay from that darkness. What some people call a miasma, a word we don't often hear, that it affected everything. And as I'm looking, I've always been an inquisitive person. I think that's what made me a good pilot. But I walk over toward the edge of this thing, and it drops off, and it's a canyon. And I look, and I can see what I thought was a campfire, like you'd see a fire in a distant valley at night. But then I realized it wasn't a fire, it was red. And I realized, the closer I got, it was actually a huge door being opened. And what confirmed that was it started to screech as though it was on hinges that had not been opened in a long time, and the doors were huge. And I heard them screeching and resisting being opened. And then, to my astonishment, something moving like it was crippled. And then I realized it was huge. It had the figure of a man, but it was on fire. His body was on fire. Horrendous head on this huge body. And then I'm just trying to process all this when suddenly the creature noticed me up on the rim. And the look, when it looked at me, Laura, the look of hatred in its eyes, not just for me, but for all of mankind. This was a demon or Satan himself. I know not which, but it was terrifying.
And did you cry out at all to God?
Well, I'd love to stand here and say I'm
Yeah.
real macho about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was looking for the exit. But this thing came so rapidly up, and it was surrounded by cloud and darkness and a smell of decay.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the smell of despair because God will never be in that place. And I am trying to process this when I realized it was coming up toward me. And as it came up surrounded by this, it's the strangest thing. I started to hear screaming. And the screaming was from the creature's body, but not of the creature. It was as though it had swallowed souls. And they were screaming for release from the body of this thing. And, you know, some people say to me, oh, you know, you shouldn't tell people about that. It's going to scare them. We need to be scared. You know, we've become a society of, oh, how bad can hell be? You know, how bad can it be? No Wi-Fi? Let me tell you something. The old-timey preachers and priests, when they talked to you about hell, they meant what they said. But Satan has evolved with the times, and the way he approaches us to sin now is very subtle. It's through our phones, it's permeating. But what keeps me going is the thing that I said to you a short while ago, was that I know now that God is far greater than the evil that is here.
And indeed, moments later in that experience you're having, angels appeared.
Yes.
Tell us how that happened and what began to happen as God began to move.
So I'm hearing the screaming, and then what really terrified me was I heard this thing calling my name. This creature knew me. It knew me. It knows all of us. And I wasn't that bad a guy. I never hurt anyone. I didn't rob anyone. I gave to charity if I got a receipt. That's not charity.
Yeah.
That's business. And here I was living a life of so-called perfection.
Yeah.
And it didn't have any of the important things in it. And so the creature comes up, and the screaming is continuing from its body, and then it begins to speak to me. And if a snake could speak, that's what it sounded like. So you had this horrendous body on fire, eyes penetrating, jaws open wide. The strangest thing, the thing that I remember most, is the dropping of the saliva from its mouth onto the ground. Remember, this thing is huge. And this is what waits. This is what all of us who try to convince people that hell is real, just as heaven is real.
Yeah.
And we cannot ignore that anymore. We just can't. We ignore it at our peril. And so it lurches up out of the pit, and to keep my sanity, I turn my back to it. And I raised my hands to the sky. And remember I said there are 6 words, and the first 3 were, God forgive me. At that point, with this thing at my back, and I actually felt a talon come down my back as it's speaking to me. And it's saying, Jim, come to us. We have been waiting for you. This is your time with us. Come to us, Jim. As though it knew me. It used, a real familiar tone. And I've got my hands, and with no expectation. Why would God reach out to me, who never respected him or showed any love for him in my entire life? But I had nothing left.
Yeah.
Diamond Jim was gone. And I raised my hands and I said, God, help me, help me. At that instant, 3 points of light from different places came all to one central point, and I could see in the bluish white light, angels.
What did they look like?
Oh my God, they're wonderful. I could spend a whole day telling you about them.
Okay.
They're very tall.
Yep.
There were 3 of them. But let me tell you first what happened. And they're standing in front of me, maybe from here to the cameraman. And all of a sudden, and this thing is behind me, calling my name. And then a bolt of light came from the guardians and went over my shoulder and hit the creature. And when it did, it shrieked. It shrieked in pain and scrambled back down a hole like a rat running for cover. Darkness and evil cannot exist in the light of God. It cannot. And if the light of God is within you, you are protected.
Amen.
You are covered.
Amen.
You are covered.
Amen. What a word for someone watching right now. And I know with the angels, there were 3 different kinds of angels that you identified. Out of those 3, there was a guardian angel.
The first one was about 10 foot tall, and he was a scribe. And by the way, he coincidentally was my guardian since birth. Now that poor angel had pulled an awful tour of duty because he had a look of relief on his face, this big smile. At last, I got him into heaven. And I don't mean to make light of it, but I could see, that this was the guardian that had been with me since my birth. And then there was another one about 13 feet tall, but coming behind that was one about 15 feet tall. Now you think of this, 15-foot tall being in front of you. And the amazing thing is their eyes are violet. Angels' eyes are violet. And they're huge because in a 15-foot body, you've got these huge violet eyes. But here's the amazing thing. Here on earth, when someone stares at you like this, it's usually not good news. But when a guardian stares at you with those violet eyes, it's, you are loved by God. We are God's creation. We are here to help you. You are safe. We love you. And angels never blink. They never blink.
Did they speak to you specifically?
Yes.
How did that happen?
So the one that was, I found out was my guardian, he came right up to me, and he's still tall, he's 10 feet tall, and he comes up to my right shoulder, and I have some wonderful pictures that we've put together of this, and he comes up to me, and he puts his arm around my shoulder, so I can see his hand here, and I'm looking up, and there's this gentle smile, and then I hear the voice of an angel for the first time, and the voice said, "James, fear not, for we are your constant friends." So now if you get an email from me, or you get a text, or you get a letter from me, I always sign it YCF, your constant friend, Jim.
The angels also showed you some things. You know, you had many questions for them. You detail that in your book and many of your interviews, but they also showed you 6 beams of light coming up from the earth, because I think we have to update our viewer on what was happening with you. So we had first responders who found your body.
Yes.
They took you to the hospital.
Yes.
You were brain dead, so they pronounced you clinically dead for 11 hours.
Yes.
And yet during that time, this is when you're visiting heaven.
Yes.
So in heaven, the angels show you these light beams. What's going on there? Tell us a bit more.
And that was stunning too. And I didn't know this, of course, till I got back. But they're walking, so anyway, they bow to me, and I have to tell you this. 3 guardians bowing to me. And this wasn't just a polite Victorian bow of welcome. This was a deep and reverential bow. And I felt very uncomfortable with it. And I said, "Why do you bow to me? I am but mankind. Why do you bow to me?" The answer was so beautiful. The guardian said, "James, we bow to mankind because when we look at you, we see the light of our Master in you." And we all need to be reminded that in all of us is the light of God. But God gave us free will, something he didn't give any other creation.
Yeah.
And God gave us free will. And that free will is God will never force you to love him. He's the creator. Why doesn't he just make us love him? Because God knows that the only thing that you Love is something you can never take. It has to be given. And my favorite picture is the one of Jesus standing in front of the wooden door and knocking at the door of your heart. And if you look carefully, there's no handle on that door. It can only be opened by you to allow God in. Imagine the Supreme Being to be that humble that he allows us to turn from him. And all he asks us for is to love him and try to do the things that that Jesus tried to teach us before we killed him. I'm sorry,
No, yeah.
But it's as though it just happened.
Yeah. It's an incredibly moving experience to listen to. So I can only imagine how much it moves your heart, even to recall it and share it with us. You know, you speak about love, and there were people loving you so deeply from earth. One of the things the angels showed you.
Thank you for keeping me on track.
You asked me to. The viewers should know that.
I did, because I get carried away.
You don't get carried. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But yes,
so
the angels showed.
I found out later, when I got back, and Lorraine and I were trying to piece the story together. And she said, when the RCM, she reported me missing, and they searched for me all night. Finally, around about dawn, they triangulated my cell phone successfully and located the truck, and I was in it, and it had been a cold night, and rigor mortis had set in, and I was stiff as a board, and in the seating position, and dead with my eyes open. And so they immediately had an ambulance take me to the hospital in Fredericton, New Brunswick, where I was triaged, and the RCMP went to my home and to get my wife and take her to the hospital. And when he got there, he found the kitchen with Lorraine's sisters and our friends. There were 6 of them, and they were praying. And the prayer that they prayed, Lorraine told me, was that if it be the will of God, send Jim back. And here I am standing in heaven, and I'm asking the angels, what are those streaks I see in the sky? As a pilot, to me, they're contrails, condensation trails. You know, when you're in the higher atmosphere, the air is cold, and when the fuel is being burnt, the water that's left in the fuel condenses into ice crystals, and then as they float down, they get in a warmer area and they disappear. So I thought they were contrails, you know. I know Air Canada goes everywhere, but I didn't realize they flew to heaven, and I want a job. So, yeah, it was amazing. And the amazing thing, Laura, was there were 6 streaks in the sky. There were 6 people praying.
And the angels explained that to you.
And I asked the angels, you know, what are these streaks in the sky? Because to me, it didn't make sense. And they said, James, those are the prayers of your family for your soul, even now, rising up before God.
Wow. And it shows you the power of prayer.
It does.
When we pray for our loved ones.
It does, and we need to remember that. And, you know, people say to me, well, I pray and nothing happens. Maybe it's not what you think. What you think is best now may not be what God knows is not good for you later. Yeah, amen, yeah. Jim, you then began to see the holy city, heaven itself. Tell us a bit about what that looked like. Then the guardian said to me, James, touch my cloak. And he said, hold it. And I reached over and took his arm. And suddenly we're in the sky of heaven. And I looked down, and I thought I was looking at a huge reflecting pool. But suddenly it shimmered and opened, and I realized I'm looking down on nothing other than the Holy Kingdom, God's home. And yes, the streets are paved with gold. Stunningly beautiful. And so many green spaces. And I'm looking at hundreds of thousands of people. No glasses, no canes, nothing that would ever indicate sadness or pain. And so many, and I could actually tell there were some people that were walking along and they had their arm around a person in the center. Clearly that person had just died, and they had come to, and now they're walking them as we would take them to Ottawa and say, here's the Parliament building. This is God's home.
Oh, wow.
So the family is being shown around, and the happiness on their faces was truly wonderful.
And Jim, I know that you've written about 7 journals with details about heaven, if not more. And in your book, Heaven, An Unexpected Journey, you detail a lot of what you're sharing with us now, and you go more in depth. And I know our viewers are going to want to get that book to read more about what you saw in heaven. But of course, the burning question on so many people's hearts right now would be, did you encounter Jesus?
Yes.
How did that happen? And then what happened?
So I'm standing there looking at the contrails, and then the guardian says to me, James, look, and here's something interesting. The God of the universe, with all he must have to contend with, when you first get there, they put things in front of you that you loved as a child. And because when the angel hugged me, this is kind of funny, when the angel hugged me, I smelled tapioca. Tapioca. Now I promise I'm not here to start the Church of the Holy Tapioca. I am not. But here's something that fascinates me, that God knew that when I was a little boy and I would be walking home through a snowstorm in Newfoundland on the 4th of July, and go into my grandmother's home, and there'd be a big bowl of warm tapioca waiting for me. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
The God of the universe, and he knows everything about all of us. And he loves us for what we are. He loves us for what we fail at. He loves us for everything. And so then they show me this magnificent horse, and they summon it from the field. It comes trotting up, and as it glided over the grass of the paddock, the light came up from the horse's hooves. And I never read the Bible before. I didn't know that when Jesus comes back, he'll be riding a white horse. Isn't that something? And I saw this, and it came up and put this beautiful silken head over the gate, and people say to me, well, why would you need a gate in heaven? Well, I don't know. It was what I remembered, and so they show you things that trigger for you. It might be the smell of your grandmother's kitchen. It might be the smell of your dad's car when you went for a Sunday drive. Something that meant a lot to you as a child, because once you get there, you have to remember, you're God's child now. You always were, but now you're definitely his. You've come home.
And I think so many of us are excited about that prospect. Jim, tell us about the moment you met Jesus.
Okay, so I'm continuing to walk, and all the while they're telling me things about heaven and how this works and that works, and I'm absorbing it all. And we came to a slight rise, and not very large, probably went back to this scenery back here. But it was a gentle slope. And I realized I hadn't seen the tall angel for a while. And I look, and up on the top of the slope was the tall guardian. But he was kneeling, and he had a book opened, and facing him, leaning over, was another figure reading the book. I couldn't see the face on that figure, but it was different from the angels. First of all, there was this golden glow that came off this magnificent feature. And you know how you drive down a road in the summertime and the pavement is got this shimmer above it? There was that covering his face, because he was in profile to me. And I'm thinking, who's this? And as I'm watching, this beautiful golden light flowed off him and flowed down toward me, and it behaved like slow-moving golden water. And I noticed that when it went through the flowers that had already bloomed and were in perfect condition, they bloomed even more magnificent. And that came down and went around my feet, and when it did, I was filled with this incredible knowledge that I was looking at none other than Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And simultaneously, that figure turned toward me, the shimmer vanished, and I'm looking into the eyes of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Not some dusty old legend, but the living Christ, the Son of God, who gave his life for us. And I just fell to my knees, and I couldn't take my eyes off him. And he had the most gentle smile, and these eyes of blue and green and gold, that just, I felt like I had known him all my life, and in fact, I knew him before my life. And I'm just overwhelmed, and I'm on my knees still. And then I stagger to my feet, and I try to move toward him. And he smiled at me, and then I got a little closer, and then he did something that really I didn't expect. Jesus raised his right hand, still smiling, but he raised his right hand. And there was no mistaking this, no matter what language. And it was clearly, stop, come no closer. But I'm Diamond Jim, I tried. So old habits die hard. And I tried, and he raised his hand like this, still smiling, but, And so I stopped, and then he smiled at me. Oh, my God.
Did he say anything to you?
Oh, yes, yes. And I'm going to tell you. It's not long, but it changed me forever. And he had this, I really got this feeling that this is a Jesus that has a real sense of humor. Well, he made me, so he must have a sense of humor. But I felt like I'd known him all my life, like he was family. And I'm just overwhelmed. And then I realized he's about to speak to me. But I'm still trying to get close, and for the third time, he puts his hand up. And when he did this time, his sleeve fell back, and I could see the glow of his body through the hole in his wrist, the remains of the crucifixion. And when I saw that, my happiness and elation just collapsed, because I realized that I was part of the mutilation that he suffered as mankind. And then I realized he was going to speak to me. And this is what Jesus Christ wants me to tell you, Laura, and all your viewers. So with his hand raised like this, he said to me, James, my son, this is not yet your time. Go back and tell your brothers and sisters of the wonders we have shown you. And what flew through my mind was the sound of his voice and the sincerity of his eyes. But then it struck me, I wasn't being allowed to stay. And I began to cry, to plead, to beg, please, Jesus, don't. I've wandered all over the earth. All my life I've looked for something, and now I've found it. Please, I beg you, don't send me back. Don't, I beg you. And then I said something that I will regret for the rest of my life. I said, please, Jesus, don't send me back. I won't be any trouble. Can you imagine telling the Son of God? And he got this little smile on his face. I wasn't threatening him. I was just trying to convince him. But it was just a moment that he really smiled. And I knelt down and started to plead with him again. And suddenly, two guardians are beside me, and they lift me up like I'm a feather and turn me around. And as they're carrying me away to the tunnel back, I wrenched away from them. I don't know how, managed to put my head back, to plead one more time, one more time. But when I looked back, Jesus had gone. But standing exactly in the place that Jesus had stood was the warrior angel. And he had drawn his sword, and with his other hand, he was pointing to the path.
To go back, for you to go
back.
back. And Jim, you came back to your body in the hospital after 11 hours.
Yes.
Lying there clinically dead. Doctor stating you're dead. Your nurse, wife knew you were dead, but praying for you, interceding, determining whether they should essentially pull the plug on the rest of your body because you were brain dead. But you come back into your body. What happens in those moments, and what do you say to your wife the first time you see her?
The going back wasn't at all pretty. And what I mean by that is the tunnel was dark, it wasn't light, it was cold, it was wet. I began to feel pain as I transitioned from an immortal being to a mortal.
Yeah.
And I began to hear voices. I found out later, when we had a chance to piece everything together, they were busy in the ICU that night, and I was in a room off to one side. And Lorraine was out in the quiet room with her sisters. And I'm just, sorry, I have a hard time talking about this. And I'm just overwhelmed by the sadness that I have to leave. But all of a sudden, my eyes opened, and they tell me, because I don't recall, that I think suddenly, from looking at the beauty of heaven to the stark cold of a hospital room, I let out a mighty yell.
Yeah.
It scared the daylights out of one of the nurses because I was officially dead. And so the nurses ran and got my wife from the room, and she runs in and she can't believe it because it's been so long. The doctors had said, Lorraine, if he did survive, he'd be nothing maybe but a vegetable.
Yeah.
That was my greatest fear, Laura. Coming back as a cabbage. Oh. I hate cabbage. But the Lorraine, and of course I'm intubated and I've got the mask on and there's every wire everywhere you can imagine, and I'm trying to orient myself. But very rapidly, my heart came back. I had had full renal failure. Everything started to work perfectly. I went from purple to pink in a matter of minutes, and then I finally, they take the tube out, and there's Lorraine's pretty face in front of me. She's up on the bed and she's kissing my face, and I said, of all the things I could have said to Lorraine, I said, because Lorraine and I met on horseback. That's how we first met, on a cold winter's day. And I said, Lorraine, I saw Jesus, and Jesus has horses. And I'm back.
You're back. Oh, and we're so thankful you're back. Jim, you came out of that state really, you were not a vegetative person. We see this. You did not have side effects from dying and coming back. Nothing what they said would happen if you sort of came back alive. You were not in a vegetative state at all. Your disease that you still have markers of in your body actually doesn't cause any pain anymore. So that's a supernatural healing. Yeah, you've had an incredible and miraculous encounter in heaven and a miraculous healing. Jim, for those who are watching right now, one of the things that you could do, because you've been a successful, wealthy businessman, you could just be retired right now. You could be taking it easy, doing whatever you'd like to do. But you know that the thing Jesus said to you to do, go and tell your brothers and sisters of the wonders you have seen, is a mission he gave you. So for our viewers watching right now, who are probably sitting up on edge or they're listening, wondering, what should I be doing right now? Jim, what would you say to them? What is your message after experiencing dying and going to heaven and coming back?
Believe in the goodness of God, that you have a friend who is the greatest friend you've ever had, and you don't even know it. And do all the kindness that you can for people. And it doesn't have to be something huge, or it's just kindness, helping a senior, working at a food kitchen, all the things that Jesus did when he was on this earth. Simple things. And keep in mind what they showed me, that all the goodness and love that happens every day as we care for each other is as this. And Satan and all the chaos we see on TV is as this. And I'm not making up some fairy tale, you know. You can always convince yourself after 10 minutes of watching the news the earth was going to end by Tuesday, if you listen to that. And it's not. It's not. The end will come. I don't know it. I don't think anyone knows it. I don't think the angels know it. Only God. But I do believe that if you can remember this one thing that I think will help you in your life. Remember when I talked about how the angels bowed to me? Because they saw the light of God in me. The light of God is in all of these wonderful people here, including you.
Yeah.
And it's right here at the base of your throat. And I have the ability to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took me a while to get used to it. I thought I was losing it. I see the light of God in people.
Oh, wow.
And sadly, when I was walking through the airport coming here, you know, I would see many people with the light of God in them. Sadly, some with no light at all.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that when I speak, as I did last night to the church that my friends took me to, I could see that light pulse in them and grow stronger and grow stronger.
Wow.
And if that light of God is within you, you are His. And I'll tell you something else.
Amen.
People will begin to notice there's something different about you. You're kinder, you're gentler. You are the person God knows you can be.